Well, I guess, if you want to talk about this, we would need to look at what your motivation was for doing this, and well, yeah, but what did you want to get out of it? Did you want to get closer to Robert? Did you want to be seen as a good person, or and then when you didn't get that back, then you became upset and you called him up. But it sounds like there was an expectation there, and it's hard to avoid doing something like that and not expecting to get something in return. But that's what you need to look at if it becomes an issue for you. What were you trying to get out of this? Subconsciously even. Well, I don't mean that. I mean the whole episode. Why did you offer to do this to begin with, and why? And there was something you wanted to get, and then it seems like maybe you didn't get that, and then now you seem a little resentful about it. Yeah, that's what I'm getting around to. I'd love to see you recognize all this mental activity and drama just as activity of the mind that you don't necessarily need to keep focusing on or even putting yourself through. Yeah, but what's the recourse? It's not a problem to get depressed. The problem is not knowing how to deal with it. Yeah, what are the feelings that are coming up behind this whole drama? The feelings are making this drama happen, and you have a tendency to get wrapped up in the drama instead of... So what are the feelings that are coming up? Let's try to use this event to bring it to a processing place. It's not good. You have to give the impression of letting go. You definitely have to give the impression of letting go. If you give the impression of hanging on, that's going to work contrary to what you want to begin with. Just on a manipulative level, if we want to focus on that level, which is where you are, right? You're working on a level of manipulation, and this is just going to work against you in the long run. But even on a level of manipulation, you have to give the impression of having let go, because hanging on is just going to create the opposite effect. He's just going to drive him away. You have to work on an authentic letting go. This is where you're hung up. This is the problem. This is what keeps you looking into the future, hoping for reconciliation, and that's not healthy. You need to let go and move on. You're just fantasizing, and you're beating yourself up. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. It starts with understanding logically and intellectually that you've got to let go. All right, well, so wanting to let go is the first step. Once you decide that you need to let go, what do you do? And there are probably all kinds of approaches for this, depending on who you go to. But the approach that we work on is kind of unique, and I feel it's effective. What I would recommend is you need to go to the feelings that are behind this impulse. This is a compulsive urge, right? It's like any kind of compulsivity or any kind of addiction. Right, okay. So understanding that and admitting it to yourself is a great first step. So how do you deal with any kind of addiction or compulsion? It's going to the feeling that's right behind that compulsive urge. What are these feelings that are driving you into that behavior? So it's the feelings of, it's this loneliness probably. Sure, then that ties in. But I think it's probably basically this loneliness, and it's an issue for everybody and for all of us. And you know, sometimes I tend to think that the people for whom it's not an issue are just the ones who are able to delude themselves temporarily by keeping a relationship going, using all kinds of, unproductive ways to keep a relationship patched up, and so it's like a Band-Aid. The relationship seems to cover this loneliness, and then there are times when the loneliness jumps out, and then that's when the relationship seems to falter, and people do things to get it back together. But maybe it has something to do with age. You know, you and I are about the same age, and maybe people, when they get to be this age, you can no longer deceive yourself. Or maybe just the opportunities are no longer there to deceive yourself. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of nature's plan, actually. You know, sexual attraction for both sexes seems to diminish. And maybe there are just less opportunities for deceiving yourself. So you're face to face with this loneliness. And it drives you. It can make you crazy, you know. It's really a severe experience. But on the other hand, it can be a major turning point in your life when you start to deal productively with this loneliness and stop being motivated by it, stop rejecting the loneliness, basically, which is the same thing as rejecting yourself, rejecting your emotional self, right? As I talk about in the book. Stop rejecting this emotional part of yourself through acting out, through hoping, through trying to bring something into your life that you think is going to make it better. But it can never do that. It can just cover it over for a short time, but it can never make it better. That's the fallacy and the problem with relationships. So let's move into a process right now. Just close your eyes. Relax into your body. Just focus on the breath for a few breaths to let you relax into your body. As soon as you close your eyes, you're going to start shifting inwardly. You're going to start feeling that alpha state approaching. Just relax into your body. Surrender to your body. And then find this feeling of loneliness and isolation. Just find it in your body. And then start to witness this feeling, stepping back from it. It's part of you, it's part of the human makeup, but the spiritual path and the psychological spiritual path is to step back, to break the identification with this painful, lonely part. Not to deny it or try to avoid it, like you do when you allow it to motivate you. We want to extend a sense of acceptance to it. And do you see how when you allow yourself to be motivated compulsively, you're really just rejecting that part of yourself. You're trying to deny it. You're not extending acceptance to it by any means. You're doing the exact opposite. So start extending this sense of acceptance to this part of yourself, this fragmented, isolated, cut off part this part that you probably just perceive the tip of the iceberg now. This loneliness, the sense of isolation, this anxiety. It's probably the beginning of something else. Something else that might have a lot of interesting revelations for you. And if you move to a place of acceptance of this part, you're going to start growing in consciousness, growing through accepting this part of yourself, growing through becoming more familiar with this part of yourself, seeing it from different perspectives, experiencing it energetically in different ways. Your experience of it is going to change. So allow that to happen right now. Allow your experience to move to a more of an energetic experience rather than an emotional experience. You do that by staying in the moment, being completely choiceless about your experience, surrendering to it, being completely conscious of it, as if nothing else in the world exists right now. There's no getting out of this experience. And keep breathing. Keep relaxing into the breath. Let the breath support you. Let that sense of the energetic energy keep building. So that's good to recognize that there's a frantic part, and that's what drives you to act out. Don't be afraid of it. It's nothing to be afraid of. Once you start accepting it and not letting it motivate you, then you make a shift. You turn around. Your relationship to that part of yourself is different. And you set the stage for transformation to occur. So as you're being present with that energetic experience, go up to the third eye right now to intensify this witnessing, stepping back, witness the experience. And just keep breathing into it with a sense of acceptance, experiencing it in your body, surrendering to it on a lower okay. Oh, good. Okay. So if you need, do you need to go to a safe place now? Good. All right. So that was excellent to practice during the week. So that probably started to strengthen you and made you developed your capacity for being present with the feeling right now. So maybe this will be your meditation for the coming week. Go to your safe place first. Feel yourself fortified. Incorporate witnessing with that safe place. And then be present with all these negative feelings, the loneliness, the fear, the isolation, the franticness. Just keep breathing into it all. And if it relates to any person or memory or incident, it's okay. But recognize that it's a projection happening. We project this inner experience onto other people. If any other memory wants to come forward now, aside from your experience with your partner, with your ex-partner, open the door for that right now. What's happening now? So look at your experience in that situation. You're trying to express yourself. You're frustrated. You're not being heard. Or so go to the feeling behind that motivation. And what is the feeling? Okay, that's desperation is a valid feeling. Stay right there, but it's more of a first level, top level feeling. It's an emotional reaction to your core feeling. So your core feeling could be fear. It seems to be fear associated with the relationship, right? With fear associated with the heart. Not good enough. Okay, so that's a whole nother realm right there. Stay with that for a moment and see how that opens up. Not being good enough. That's somewhat different from the fear of loss. Just focus right there. Drop the movie. The movie is the event as you described it. Just put that movie aside. It's done its job. It's brought up the feeling. Stay present with the feeling. Keep breathing into it. Go up to the third eye again. Strain your eyes upwards for a short burst. As you stay present with the experience. Release the third eye. Keep breathing. So I want you to take note, and I want the subconscious to take note right now, that you are in a processing mode, being present with your feelings. You've understood the futility of allowing feelings to drive you, to motivate you, to keep you looking into the future, to keep you focused on making something happen in the future. You see the futility of that. You see how that just serves to deny and avoid the experience, the authentic experience that's inside. And by denying that authentic experience, you keep yourself from moving forward. I want you to take note how you are being present with your experience right now, and how this is what you need to do. And whenever that compulsion or addiction comes up, whenever you feel compelled to act out in any way, just contain the feeling for processing. You can process right then, or you can contain the feeling for processing later on during your practice period. Feel yourself being energized and strengthened so that you have the power to do this. Feel the light coming in, feel the power coming in, and feel it coming in specifically with this purpose, to give you the power to be present with your feelings give you the strength to not act out, to not be tempted to act out. And as you're keeping the light in place, go down to the earth, bring up the earth energy, and experience the earth energy as being nurturing, supportive. This is the energy that you seek from somebody else. You can get this energy from inside. Visualize this connection right now, down to the center of the earth. Bring up the earth energy. Understand that it's a metaphor for accessing this energy inside yourself, this self-love, this self-nurturing, unconditional nurturing that you can give yourself. Just feel that energy flooding your body. Feel it coming up. Welcome it. Allow it to come up. Feel yourself grounded to the earth, supported by the earth. Supported by the earth so that you don't need to get that from anybody else. Anyone else who seems to give you this kind of connection, it's just a dependent connection. So keep accessing this energy from the earth. Really feel it, support you. Now send down any negativity back to the earth that's been released and is ready to go down. Just feel it leaving you. And I want you to start winding down from this session. Allow any feelings to start diminishing. Start closing the door to the subconscious. And once more, bring in some more healing light to fill up now any dark places or empty places inside you that may have resulted from this processing we just did. Really feel the light coming in, just filling you up, lifting you above any negativity right now. Feeling yourself to be joyful. Feel yourself having transcended any dualistic experiences. Use the light to raise your vibration. And then I'll count you up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Sure. 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 That sounds like it would really be nice.